Every champion you admire was once a nobody drowning in loss. That's the part people skip because it's uncomfortable. It's raw. It's the chapter where life punches you in the face and waits to see if you get up. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you isn't soft motivation. This is the truth society hides from you. Loss isn't the end. Loss is the entrance fee to greatness. If you can't pay that price, you don't deserve the reward. But if you're the rare one who can endure the fire, then every setback becomes a weapon you carry forward. And that's where real winners are born. You see, people talk about success like it's some magical formula, but nobody shows you the nights you sit alone with failure echoing in your ears. I've been there. You've been there. Everyone who wins has been there. What separates you isn't talent. It's what you do after you get broken. Most people collapse, cry, blame the world, blame their luck. Winners say, good, now I get to prove who I am. That mindset changes everything. When life takes something from you, money, relationships, confidence, it's testing whether you're strong enough to rebuild with twice the force. Let me tell you a truth that might sting. Losing is the best mentor you will ever have. I've seen men lose everything, and that loss either destroyed them or turned them into gladiators. I remember a man who lost his business overnight. Everyone abandoned him. Friends vanished. Family doubted him. That moment should have broken him. But instead, he treated the loss like fuel. He rebuilt stronger, smarter, faster. Today, he earns more in a month than he used to in a year, not because he's lucky, but because he refused to let loss define him. You can fold or you can forge. And I've seen another man lose someone he loved. Real pain, the kind that crushes your soul. Grief can make you numb, but it can also make you fearless. When you have already lost what mattered most, what else can the world take from you? That man walked forward with a fire inside him that no one could extinguish. He turned loss into purpose and purpose into victory. That's what warriors do. You turn pain into power, not excuses. So here's the you need to burn into your mind. Loss is not your dead end. Loss is your reset button. It forces you to evolve. It forces you to sharpen your identity. Winning with no struggle means nothing. Winning after loss means everything. That's why champions walk with a different energy. They've tasted defeat, survived it, and now they carry a confidence built from fire. Every time you lose, you gain something far more valuable: clarity. You learn who you are. You learn who is loyal. You learn how strong you can become. The world won't hand you victory. It will test you. It will break you. It will take everything you love, and then it will watch what you do next. If you want to win, you must be willing to suffer, to adapt, to rise again without complaint. That's how you build a life that commands respect. Loss is the initiation ritual of winners, because no one becomes extraordinary by walking an easy path. Every champion, every icon, every unstoppable force you admire has been dragged through seasons of chaos that would have broken the average person. That's the part people never see. The nights when your confidence feels shattered, the moments when the world feels like it's collapsing on top of you, the brutal hits that make you question everything you thought you knew about yourself. But here's you need to carve into your mind. The moment you lose is the moment you start becoming dangerous. Loss strips away your comfort, your illusions, your excuses. It exposes the raw version of you, the one who either surrenders or becomes unshakable. And the ones who choose to rise from that raw state become the people the world eventually calls winners. When life hits you with loss, it's not targeting you, it's shaping you. It's forging you into a version of yourself you could have never reached through comfort. Think about it. Iron only becomes a blade when it survives the fire. A man only becomes a weapon when he survives loss. That's why winners aren't shocked by setbacks. They expect them. They understand that every loss is a doorway to a higher level of power, but only if you walk through it instead of crying in front of it. The masses fear pain. Winners study it, absorb it, and turn it into energy. And here's another you need to let sink in. Loss is the price you pay to enter the arena of greatness. If you can't pay the price, you can't play the game. The real transformation begins when you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Because every loss carries a lesson hidden inside it. When you lose money, you gain awareness of your weaknesses. When you lose trust, you gain clarity about people. When you lose confidence, you gain the opportunity to rebuild yourself from scratch, stronger, sharper, and smarter. Loss is not a thief, it's a teacher. And the faster you learn to listen without ego, the faster your life changes. Winners treat loss like data. They extract the wisdom, correct their direction, and return to the battlefield with accuracy that cuts through everything in their way. But the most powerful part of loss is how it rewires your mentality. Once you've been broken and rebuilt yourself, you walk differently. You think differently. You stop fearing pain because you've survived worse. You stop craving validation because you've learned the hard truth that most people only support you when it's convenient for them. Loss teaches you self-reliance, emotional resilience, and the ability to push forward even when everything feels stacked against you. It sharpens your edge. It hardens your resolve. It builds the kind of confidence that doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from survival. And that kind of confidence is unbreakable. Here's what many people won't understand until they experience it. Loss creates separation. It pulls weak men to the sidelines and pushes strong men to the front lines. The weak fall apart because they were never prepared to fight. The strong use loss as a signal, a sign that they are entering a new chapter where greatness is possible. If you look at every world-class achiever, you'll find that their journey was an T, defined by victory. It was defined by the losses that forced them to evolve. Loss is the hidden engine behind every iconic comeback story. Without it, you would never grow into the kind of person capable of massive success. So when you face loss, don't run from it. Stand in it. Feel it. Learn from it. Let it break the soft parts of you so the strong parts can rise. Because the truth is simple. Loss is the gate. Suffering is the path. Growth is the reward. And only those who walk through all three earn the right to be called winners. Pain is the fuel that builds unbreakable discipline because nothing in this world shapes you faster, sharper, or more permanently than discomfort. Comfort keeps you soft, predictable, and forgettable. Pain does the opposite. It forces you to evolve or collapse. And here's the most people never understand. The moment you start seeing pain as an ally instead of an enemy, you unlock a level of strength that ordinary people can't even imagine. Discipline isn't built through motivation or good moods. Discipline is born on the days when you feel like quitting but still choose to move. Pain is not a burden. It's the raw material from which greatness is carved. Every time you push through physical exhaustion, emotional stress, financial pressure, heartbreak, rejection, your mind hardens, your spirit thickens, your will becomes steel. Winners aren't made in peaceful environments. They're forged in the moments when everything inside them screams to stop, yet they keep going. That's the real secret behind discipline. It's the ability to act independent of how you feel. And pain is the training ground for that skill. When the world hits you, when your body aches, when your plans collapse, when your confidence drops, those moments are invitations. Invitations to build a version of yourself that doesn't need comfort to perform. Here's another. If pain doesn't break you, it upgrades you. Every painful moment leaves behind a gift, but only if you're willing to withstand it. Pain forces you to confront your weaknesses. It exposes your limits. It demands your growth. And when you respond with action instead of excuses, you become someone who can endure storms while others hide. This is why disciplined people look unstoppable, because they've trained their minds in the fire. They've conditioned themselves to take action even when everything feels heavy. That is the kind of discipline that dominates life. Look at anyone who has mastered their craft. Athletes, entrepreneurs, fighters, creators. They all have one thing in common. They developed a relationship with pain that the average person refuses to understand. While others run from difficulty, they run into it. While others panic, they remain calm. While others crumble from pressure, they grow stronger. They don't wait for painless days because they know such days don't exist. They train through fatigue. They work through heartbreak. They build through chaos. And that's what makes them unstoppable. A man who is comfortable with pain becomes immune to excuses. Discipline thrives where comfort ends. When your alarm rings at 5 a.m. and your body begs for one more hour, that moment builds you. When you're grinding late at night and your mind tries to convince you that you've done enough, that moment shapes your identity. When life throws setbacks at you and you keep showing up anyway, you're teaching your brain that quitting is not an option. This is how you develop the mental armor that separates winners from everyone else. Because once you've built discipline through pain, you don't rely on motivation anymore. You rely on identity. You become the person who gets things done regardless of circumstances. And here's a final you need to burn into your mind. Pain is temporary, but the discipline it creates is permanent. The workouts you finish while exhausted, the decisions you make while stressed, the responsibilities you handle while overwhelmed, Those actions elevate you into a different category of human. Eventually, the pain fades, but the strength, the resilience, the discipline you gain stays with you for life. That's why winners chase challenges instead of comfort. They know that each struggle is an investment. Each difficulty is a training session. Each hour of pain is building a version of them that cannot be stopped by anything or anyone. Pain sharpens you, molds you, strengthens you, and transforms you into the kind of person who does not break. When you embrace it, discipline becomes effortless. And when discipline becomes effortless, success becomes inevitable. Your comeback must be louder than your breakdown because the world doesn't. Remember you for how hard you felt. It remembers you for how violently you rose. Every human faces moments that feel like the end. Moments where your confidence collapses, where everything you built slips out of your hands, where your identity feels shattered. But here's the you need to tattoo onto your mind. The breakdown is not your finish line, it is your launch pad. The fall teaches you what the summit never could. The pain of losing everything gives you the clarity and hunger needed to rebuild with a force that nobody is ready for. That's why the comeback matters. It's your statement to the world that you are not done yet. When you break down, you are stripped to your core. No pretenses, no ego, no comfort, just you versus the truth. And that truth is powerful because it forces you to face who you really are when no one is watching. Weak minds crumble in that silence. Strong minds are reborn in it. The comeback begins not when people cheer for you, but when you make a silent, brutal decision in the dark. I'm not staying here. That moment is the spark. That moment is where strength is forged. And here's another. The comeback version of you is always stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than the version that fell. Breakdowns expose what wasn't strong enough to survive. That relationship that collapsed, it showed you who was temporary. That business that failed, it showed you your blind spots. That betrayal that crushed you, it revealed people you should have never trusted. Every breakdown has a purpose, but most people miss it because they're too busy complaining instead of analyzing. Winners study their breakdown like a blueprint. They break down the breakdown. They ask, what did I miss? Where was I weak? What can I reinforce? And when they rebuild, they remove every flaw that caused the fall. That's why their comeback echoes louder, because it was crafted with precision, not luck. There's a psychological shift that happens when you decide to rise again after being broken. You become fearless. Once you've already lost, failure stops scaring you. Opinion stops scaring you. Uncertainty stops scaring you. You've been through hell and you walked out alive. That gives you a type of confidence that can't be bought. The person who emerges after a breakdown is not the same person who fell. He's colder, he's clearer, he's hungrier. And that transformation is exactly why comebacks are so powerful. But here's the people overlook. Your comeback is not for them, it's for you. It's for the part of you that refuses to die. It's for the future you're building. The world might underestimate you, mock you, or count you out. Let them. Let their doubt be the pressure that sharpens your edge. Let their silence be the motivation you train with. Every great comeback happened in silence before the world heard the roar. The work happens alone. Early mornings, late nights, long hours, bruised emotions, tired bones. Nobody sees that, but they will see the results. And when you rise again, rise so loudly that your success becomes the revenge your pain always deserved. Rise with such intensity that the world can't ignore you anymore. Rise with such discipline that your name becomes synonymous with resilience. A comeback is not about returning to who you were. It's about becoming someone the old you could never compete with. Your breakdown was the chapter that tested you. Your comeback will be the chapter they talk about. And when it happens, it won't be quiet. It won't be subtle. It will shake the room. Because that's what happens when you refuse to stay down. That's what happens when the warrior inside you wakes up. That's what happens when your comeback becomes louder than your breakdown. Loss reveals who stands with you and who doesn't, because nothing exposes truth faster than struggle. When life is smooth, everyone wants to be around you. Friends, supporters, admirers, people who enjoy the shine without contributing to the grind. But the moment you fall, the moment you hit a wall, the moment life strips you bare, you will see something powerful. People don't change, situations reveal them. That's the you need to hold on to. When everything collapses, you finally see who was there for you and who was only there for the good times. Loss doesn't take people away from you. It shows you who never deserved a place in your life to begin with. When you face loss, Whether it's financial, emotional, or personal, something interesting happens. The noise stops. The crowd gets quiet. The people who claimed they'd never leave suddenly disappear. The ones who said they cared suddenly go cold. And that disappearance, it's a blessing disguised as pain. Every person who walks away during your struggle is removing themselves because they cannot survive the next level of your life. Here's another. The people who vanished during your loss would have sabotaged your victory. Life cleans your circle for you. Loss doesn't shrink your life, it strengthens your environment. But let's talk about those who stay. The rare ones, the ones who stand next to you when you have nothing to offer them. The ones who don't care about your status, your money, your social value, they care about you. Loss reveals them because loyalty is only visible under pressure. Anyone can pretend to be loyal when the skies are clear. True loyalty is tested when the storm hits. When your life gets messy, when your confidence drops, when you feel broken, the real ones show up with silence, support, encouragement, presence. They don't celebrate your fall. They don't distance themselves out of embarrassment. They help you rise again. Here's a many people don't want to accept. Loss forces you to confront the truth that most people were only connected to the version of you that benefited them. Maybe they liked your influence. Maybe they wanted your energy. Maybe they enjoyed the comfort you provided. But when the comfort disappears, they disappear too. This is not betrayal. It is exposure. And that exposure liberates you from carrying dead weight into your next chapter. The fewer fake people you carry, the faster you rise. Loss sharpens your vision. It makes you pay attention to details you ignored before. Suddenly, you see who checks on you without asking for anything, who encourages you without pretending, who respects you even when you're rebuilding from zero. These people are priceless. They are your circle, your foundation, your inner fortress. One loyal person is worth more than 100 fair weather friends. When you're down, the people who stay with you are the ones who deserve to stand beside you when you win. And loss doesn't just reveal others, it reveals you too. You discover your emotional strength, your resilience, your capacity to rise despite being alone. You learn to trust fewer people but value the right ones deeper. You learn that your worth was never in the crowd, it was in your character. Pain teaches you selective loyalty. It teaches you that protecting your energy is not selfish, it's survival. Here's the final you need to embed into your mindset. Loss doesn't break your circle, it purifies it. It removes the weak, the jealous, the insecure, the opportunistic. It leaves behind the ones who truly matter. And once your environment is pure, focused, and loyal, your comeback becomes unstoppable. Because now you're surrounded, not by people who want your success, but by people who want you to succeed. Every defeat contains a hidden blueprint for victory, because failure is never as random as it feels. There is always a pattern beneath the pain, a message inside the mess, a lesson buried inside the loss. Most people never find it because they react emotionally instead of thinking strategically. But here's the you need to understand deeply. Defeat is not the opposite of success. It is the architect of success. Every time you fall short, every time you get rejected, every time your plans collapse, something valuable becomes exposed. Your weaknesses, your blind spots, your gaps, your vulnerabilities. And once you can see them, you can fix them. That is the blueprint that losers ignore and winners use to rise. When life hits you with defeat, it's giving you information. Information about what didn't work. Information about what needs to evolve. Information about who you really are under pressure. The problem is most people run from defeat because it hurts their ego. They prefer comfort over clarity. They want the illusion of competence more than the reality of growth. But winners? Winners study defeat like a scientist examines data. They look for patterns. They observe their decisions. They replay their actions. They find the root of the problem instead of acting like victims. And here's another. When you analyze your defeat with honesty, the solution becomes obvious. Defeat is the roadmap. It tells you exactly where to improve. Think of every great fighter, entrepreneur, athlete, or innovator. None of them started perfect. They got punched. They got rejected. They lost money. They made mistakes. But they didn't treat those losses as final. They treated them as feedback. They rewired their strategy. They strengthened their foundations. They upgraded their approach. Over time, these micro improvements stacked into mastery. Mastery that was built not from success, but from studying defeat after defeat. That's why winners walk with such confidence, because they've solved every problem that once beat them. The blueprint hidden inside defeat is brutally honest. It doesn't flatter you. It doesn't comfort you. It tells you the truth. Your discipline wasn't enough. Your preparation wasn't complete. Your mindset wasn't sharp. Your environment wasn't supportive. Your ambition wasn't matched by your habits. It forces you to see the version of yourself that you've been avoiding. And even though this truth stings, it is the key to evolution. Because once you confront your flaws directly, you gain the ability to eliminate them. Then, the next time you face a similar challenge, you're stronger, smarter, more prepared. That's not coincidence. That's blueprint-based growth. Here's what people don't like to hear. Your future victories depend on your willingness to dissect your past defeats. If you avoid the lessons, you will repeat the loss. If you face the lessons, you will rise above them. Simple, but brutally true. The universe does not promote you until you master the level you're currently failing. Most people complain about life being unfair, while winners ask, what is this teaching me? That one mindset shift transforms defeat from a setback into a stepping stone. When you start treating defeat as a teacher, everything changes. You become emotionally untouchable. Setbacks no longer break you, they educate you. Loss no longer scares you, it challenges you. Failure no longer embarrasses you, it motivates you. That's the mentality of a warrior, someone who refuses to let ego limit their growth. Warriors treat every defeat like training. They walk back into the arena not weaker, but wiser. And wisdom is a weapon far sharper than strength alone. The hidden blueprint inside defeat becomes your greatest advantage once you learn to decode it. Because while others stay stuck repeating the same mistakes, you evolve with every failure. With every setback, you gain insight. With every mistake, you upgrade. With every loss, you get closer to the version of yourself capable of dominating your goals. Eventually, success becomes inevitable. Not because you were lucky, but because you built it, piece by piece, lesson by lesson, loss by loss. Defeat didn't destroy you, it designed you. True strength is built when no one believes in you, because solitude is the forge where real warriors are created. When the world doubts you, when people dismiss you, when no one claps for you, that is the moment your character begins to sharpen. Most people crumble the second they lose external validation because their identity is built on approval, not purpose. But here's you need to engrave into your mindset. The moment you stop needing anyone's belief is the moment you become unstoppable. True strength never comes from praise. It comes from pressure. It comes from standing alone in the dark, whispering to yourself, I will not quit, even when nobody is there to hear it. When no one believes in you, you're forced to believe in yourself. That isolation creates a different breed of discipline. You stop waiting for encouragement. You stop expecting support. You stop needing motivation from the outside world. Instead, you build an internal engine, one that runs on hunger, resilience, and quiet defiance. Every giant you admire went through this phase. Look deep into the story of any successful person, and you'll find a moment where everyone doubted them, friends laughed, family questioned, the world ignored. And that was the exact moment they discovered a new level of power hidden inside them. Here's another. Doubt from others becomes rocket fuel for the person willing to rise anyway. When nobody believes in you, you become dangerous because you learn to operate without applause. You learn to grind without supervision. You learn to fight without an audience. That self-reliance is rare, and rare always wins. Most people are addicted to external approval. They need someone to say, good job, or I believe in you, or keep going. But when you train yourself to keep moving forward with zero support, you become a force that no rejection can slow down. You become immune to criticism. You become immune to disappointment. You become immune to the opinions of weak minds. Silence is where strong men are built. In that silence, you face yourself. You confront your doubts, your flaws, your fears, your limitations. No distractions, no excuses, just truth. And truth is the foundation of real strength. You learn how much work you truly need to put in. You learn where you've been lying to yourself. You learn the difference between wanting success and doing what it actually requires. That level of honesty hurts, but it transforms you. It creates a version of you that is sharp, disciplined, and brutally focused. And here's what people underestimate. When no one believes in you, you are free. Free from expectations, free from judgment, free from pressure to conform, free to reinvent yourself, free to build at your own pace, in your own way. You become unpredictable, unstoppable, and unshakable because your fire is not controlled by anyone but you. This is why the people who rise with no support always rise higher. They're not driven by applause, they're driven by purpose. Every great comeback story begins with a lonely chapter. Every champion spends seasons in the shadows training when nobody is watching. Every legend had nights filled with doubt, frustration, and silence, and they still kept going. That's what separates extraordinary from average. Strength isn't built in public gyms with loud cheers. It's built in quiet rooms where nobody sees the work. It's built when you're tired, but push anyway. It's built when you're doubted, but rise anyway. It's built when you're ignored, but grind anyway. Strength created in solitude becomes a shield that nothing can break. Because once you've learned to stand alone, nobody can make you fall. You've already survived the storm without help. You've already carried yourself when no one offered a hand. You've already proven that you don't need validation to move forward. That's real power. So when people doubt you, don't fight their disbelief, thank them, because their doubt is the silence that allows you to build in peace. Their disbelief is the fire that strengthens your resolve. Their negativity is the weight that builds your mental muscle. Once you rise from that solitude, once you succeed despite the doubt, once you evolve without applause, the world will recognize you. But by then, you won't need their recognition. Because you'll already know who you are, someone who became unbreakable when no one believed in them. Listen closely. Don't fear loss, fear standing still, fear becoming a person who quits at the first hit, fear wasting your potential. Every loss in your life was a lesson engineered to make you unstoppable if you choose to use it. Winners don't avoid pain, winners transform pain into dominance. Your story isn't over just because you fell. Your story begins the moment you rise, overcome the loss. Learn the lessons, step back into the arena, and win like you were born to win.